All right, so you guys should see that here's our agenda for today. We'll start with our do now while everyone's kind of getting situated. We'll review some homework that I gave you on Friday, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how genes influence behavior. And can you guys see? Okay. So I'm going to also put a timer up so that we can kind of keep track. So we'll do 5 minutes. Okay.
Hi. Okay.
All right, guys, I'm going to just try to quickly do attendance. Sorry, I'm having technical problems up here. All right, Eden? Yes, no, Eden? No? Okay. All right, if for you guys at home, make sure that you're doing the do now. It's on, it's right here. I'm asking you to define the following terms: organism, offspring, gene pool, trait, genotype, phenotype. I'm just taking attendance. Tom? Thomas? Ready? Ready? Use your words. Here, not here. Help me out. Cool. Thank you. Tanika, I see. Reza?
Hi.
Thank you. Janelle? Did I finally say it right? Okay. Anton?
Here.
Zoom. Thank you. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Valentina, I see. Iona, I see. Avery? Zoom. Thank you.
I'm here.
Luca, I see. Tiffany? Thank you. Vahina, I thought I saw. Thank you. Lucas? Thank you. Nahal? Did I say it right finally?
Yes.
Okay. And Anna? Thank you. Ania? Thank you. Harry, I see. Yep. And okay. Hilario, thank you. Sorry, in Schoology, it puts Harry first before Harlito. Give me one moment. I'm just going to get a marker from my classroom. I'll be right back. How are you guys doing with the definitions? Much- Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's simple. An individual member of a species. I know if I'm saying ignore the dictionary. Yeah. I'm gonna write it down in a minute. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do in just a minute is I'm not gonna go through these in like the way that I've written them. I want to give a few notes, but it's easier for today's class if I just write some of these things on the board. So I'm gonna try to go back and forth. Unfortunately, like To project, I need to pull the screen down, then I can't write on the board. And in order to write on the board, I have to shut that off and put the screen up. So I'm going to try to go back and forth without causing like a lot of disruption. But I think we can do it, or we'll try it. This is all like a learning process. So like finish up what you're typing, what you're writing in the next, say, 30 seconds, and then we'll start full force. All right, so just a little bit of what we call housekeeping or just business stuff. Well, first let me go here. So I'm trying to clean up the update section. So what I've done is I've deleted all of the really old updates that we don't really need to worry about. In the side tab here, or the side column, whatever you want to call it, I put our Zoom meetings, so like you can just click on that and you should be able to get in. If for some reason there isn't a Zoom meeting invitation here on the side, go to the material section, okay? I just want to make sure that there's no like road bumps anymore. So I have the Zoom invite. It's up here permanently. So if you ever can't find it, just go right here and you'll have a link to it, okay? Also, I used to have our Google, the class notes. I used to have that on the update section. I've added it to just our course materials. You should be able to click on it and get into it. I'm starting to think that we should probably, or I will probably, have like OneNotes just for the section that we're currently doing, which I'm starting to put into folders, okay? So this might eventually find its way into the evolution folder, okay, because that's the topic that we're currently doing, all right? And in that folder, I've started to put more, click on that. You guys can see this, right? You guys zooming in, can you guys see what I'm writing? Can you see my screen? All right, I can't hear you, so. Can you guys see the screen? Yeah? Taniko, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yes, we
Can you
can.
hear me? You guys?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, no?
Sir, yes, we can.
I can't hear you at all if you're talking.
Hi.
Can't
Hello.
hear you.
Sir, I'm talking though.
Hold on one second, guys. So guys, can you at home, you guys are, oh, hang on. Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. So ready? Avery, Taniko, ready? There you go. All right. Just want to make sure you guys can see my screen. All right. So what I've also done in this folder is I've put, so this is in the evolution folder. I don't yet want to make like subfolders, but if it helps, I will. I have a video for you to watch for homework tonight. So like just a few things that I noticed about this. So if you click on, like, don't do it right now, please. But if you click on it, like, I don't know, the video does not load in my page. No big deal. All I would like you to do, or really what I want to point out is, if you go over here, all right, there's that little pop-out window. If you click on that, the video should load in like another page, all right? And so I'm just going to shut that off because I don't want to like listen to it right now. So that's the important part. Like, when you try to load this, you got to click on the little thing. If it does not work for you, you'll find the video. It's like 7 minutes and 45 seconds long. It's not very long. And I prepared back here, and let's make, actually, this is the one thing I didn't check to see if it works. I prepared just a few questions for you. So it's like, should be here. I didn't put a description because it's like 4 questions and it's just questions on the video, but it's questions about what we're doing. And I just want to make sure that it works for everyone. Yeah, so it's like 4 questions. We'll talk about these questions like towards the end of class. So like, I just wanted to show you like, so that we could look at the projector all at once. You have 4 questions. They'll be due Thursday night. We see each other again Friday. So I'm hoping that shouldn't be too bad. And it's just a review of things that we're doing. So I'm going to actually just get out of that window. All right, so we'll talk more about that at the end, like towards the end of class. All right, so with that said, sheet. All right, so we have these words that I've asked you to define. So what I'd like to do is, you have notebook paper, yeah? Because I'm going to draw like sort of like a flow diagram on the board to talk about a few important things that it's just not easy to type it all out. So with that said, you guys at home, you won't be on my screen anymore, but you should be able to see what I'm doing. All right. And in the process, we're going to come up with simple worded, if you want, definitions for those words, okay? Yes, for sure, yeah. Yeah, guys, if you need to use the toilet or do whatever, like if you need to run out, get a notebook, yeah, go ahead. You're free to go. Like, you know, just kind of like do one of these things and I'll kind of like know you're gonna go do something. So a couple of the words that I gave you was organism, offspring, and gene pool. So where's my boundary here? So, all right, so I guess I'm kind of stuck in that range. So you guys can see if I write something over here.
Yes.
So I think the first one is organism. And sometimes like Google definition works well, sometimes it doesn't. Like Google definition works really well when you're trying to find like a commonly used word like amazing, brilliant, captivating, love, hate, anger. Like it does pretty well on those words. It doesn't always do well on the biological definition of a word. And that's where like I want to try to redirect you. So like organism is just an individual member of a species. I'm an organism, you're an organism, he's an organism, she's an organism. We are all members of the human race, the human species, okay? So the first one, organism, an individual member of a species. Now, quick like recap. What is a species? There's like 2 or 3 characteristics of a species. Like one of the homework questions is, what is a species? So what's one characteristic? So give me one, only one. They can produce living offspring, okay? Or another word that we'll throw in there is fertile offspring. So like when 2 like parents, when 2 parents, how do I want to say this? 2 parents, when they give birth to 1 live offspring or more, it could be a litter, which is another word to talk about like all the babies in a group. They have to be fertile, all right? They have to be able to reproduce on their own. What was one more characteristic? Go ahead. They have similar characteristics? They have similar characteristics. And I'll even throw out a third one. Does anyone know what the third one is? We sort of said it, but like we didn't make the direct connection. So these are not like strict definitions. So like the third characteristic is they have to probably be in the same area, the same region, okay? Geographically speaking. We'll talk more about that later. So like if you have one organism, it's not necessarily a species, but it's a group of organisms all living together that creates a species. Offspring. Here's a simple one. Give me a simple definition for an offspring. Offspring. Give me a simple one.
The result of the production. The result of the production.
Yeah, but that's too complicated. That's true. Absolutely. Give me something simpler. No, like the babies or the children, right? Now, one little like, so let's say this. So babies or children. That's how we like to think of it. But there's one thing that this definition doesn't take into account. Let me ask you guys this. Coronavirus, what is it? It's a virus. So like, write this, don't write this, I don't care. But coronavirus, all right, it's a virus, right? That's where the word virus is in there, is a virus. Important thing about viruses, they are not living organisms. We'll talk about what makes something living versus non-living. The best way to think of them is that they're machines that know how to reproduce themselves, that know how to make other copies of themselves. They're like machines. They're more similar to machines than they are to you and I, okay? Now, there's this other thing, though, called, anyone ever get like what's called strep throat? So like, anyone get strep throat? Does anyone know what causes that?
No.
Like, you don't need to, it's like, no one knows what, like, is it a virus? Yeah, it's like a microorganism. It's called a bacteria. Bacteria are living organisms. They're usually single-celled organisms. Sometimes they live in colonies. We'll talk more about that later. All right. But the interesting thing about this is they do produce like offspring. But we don't say that they give birth to offspring, right? So like when we say like give birth to babies, like you're usually thinking about like a multicellular organism, and they have some specialized tissue that can produce more copies of themselves. Like it sounds weird to say it that way, but bacteria produce offspring, but it would be completely incorrect to say they make babies or that they have children. Okay, so just be careful with this definition. This is the way I want you to think about it for right now. This is a good way to develop more vocabulary. So we will come back and refine this, okay? Then the next one. So the reason I bring these up is because within biology, the study of living things, which is kind of like the unit that we're talking about evolution and how things change, okay? You know, you have things that do change, like the coronavirus may or may not change. It came, like maybe it was made in a lab, maybe it wasn't, all right? But it's not a living thing, all right? But we still study it in biology. The bacteria that causes strep throat, it is a living organism. It's a single-celled organism that usually lives in a colony, okay? And it does have offspring, but we don't call the offspring, or we don't think of them as babies, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and erase this. This is not so important that you take it down as notes. This is just like a little bit of extra information. All right, but the next one that we had was gene pool. All right. So like, give me like, in your own words, like a simple definition. Give me someone who hasn't answered. Yeah. What would be like the gene pool? And we didn't really talk about this, although we implied it. We implied a gene pool. Is it a pool with genes in them? Instead of water, you have genes? Yeah, no. Sorry, you guys at home probably can't see me. It's a gene pool. You think of a simple definition for gene pool? I don't want a technical definition. You've already like, I appreciate it. Like, I want to try to get more people. I don't like calling on random people randomly because I know it's like how awkward it can be sometimes. There used to be, like, were you raising your hand? Okay, thank you.
Like it's a collection of different genes.
Collection of different genes. You add a few more things. Someone else, or yeah. Can you add like maybe one or two things?
It's like with an interbacteria population.
You kind of went off the side for that one. So I saw another hand. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so like I'm gonna take what you both said and kind of put it together, and I'm gonna change the word slightly. Gene pool is all of the genes within a population or within a species. Can you guys see this at home? Can you see what we're writing? Yeah, no?
No.
No, not exactly, because the screen is sharing.
Good,
That
okay.
takes most of it.
So all of the genes within a population or species. Now, here's an important thing. Not every member of a species has every gene that the species have. So this is important. All right, so I'm using this word, member of a species. What's another way to say member of a species? Yeah, not every organism within a species has all of the genes within a species. It sounds like, makes sense when you say it, but it's very important. So like, let's talk about what it means. Not every member of a species has every okay? So like as an example, maybe I have the gene for brown hair, I'm sorry, for blonde hair. I definitely have a gene for brown hair, but I may or may not have a gene for blonde hair, okay? If you have a gene, if you have blonde hair, you do not have a gene for brown hair, all right? So the only time you usually have blonde hair is when you have both copies of a gene for coding hair color, okay? So the important part is like, you may or may not have it. What was an alternative form of a gene? Well, started with an A. No. I want like new people. Ready, guys? There are people that are super strong. They can lift 1,000 pounds like this, not 1,000, like 100. And like, that's great. But if I only call on the strongest members of like a classroom, then everyone else gets weaker. I need other people to answer. So like, I don't like to like randomly, like what's called hot seat people. Like hot seating is when like, I just like randomly call on people. And I think that's not right. I don't like doing that because like, you know, it takes time to develop confidence. And you might know some things, but not everything. So like.
What's the question already? What's the question?
Say it again?
What's the question?
What's the question? What is, I'm trying not to say the word. There are within a, like for any gene, there's more than one, there's like, I'm going to use the word I want to use. There are like alternative copies for the same gene. What are those called? No, Harley, don't. Like I want other people. Yeah, go ahead. Alleles. All right. So the reason that there are alleles is because there's other forms for the same gene. So with refer to like hair color, you could have a gene for brown hair, blonde hair, red hair. Okay. There are many different ways or many different forms of the same gene. Okay. Some have positive effects. That is, like they might increase like an organism's what's called reproductivity or fitness, biological fitness, not like, you know, going to the gym and exercising fitness, okay? Most genes like have like no positive or no negative. They're kind of like, you know, they have no benefit or no what are called negative effects, okay? They don't reduce your ability, your biological fitness, okay? And that's an important concept. All right. Oh, here's another one. What's a trait? Yeah, it's a characteristic usually that you can see, not necessarily with your eyes, right? So it's with the way that we like to say this, it's an observable characteristic. So like observable, it doesn't necessarily have to do with what you look like, but like it could mean you run faster or you jump higher or you're able to catch more food. So it's an observable characteristic. All right, so like something that you can measure, maybe, right? Okay. Like as an example, does everyone know that there's like what we call an A blood group, a B blood group, an AB blood group, and then there's an O blood group?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like O, does anyone know anything special about O blood types?
You can give it your like.
Yeah, so like if you get into an accident and you lose blood, whether it's a car accident or something happens, like a person with a type O blood or blood type O, they could give blood to anyone, all right? And like we'll talk about what it is, but like on some cells, like you have like, I don't know, like they kind of look different depending on the cell. Maybe I should draw them like this. All right, we'll talk more about this. It's not part really of like things you need to copy down, but every cell has like what are called cell surface markers or receptors. It's how your body knows your cells from like someone else's cells, right? Because if you are a blood type O and I put blood type A into your body, you're gonna have a very bad reaction. Maybe you could die if like nothing is done to do it or done to fix it. You and I can't see these with our eyes, but we could observe what would happen if you were given the wrong blood transfusion of the wrong blood type, okay? So we have tests for these things though. So like a trait is an observable characteristic, hair color, eye color, like body type, right? Okay, so those are these ones, and then there was like one more or two more. Okay, genotype and phenotype. All right, I think we sort of talked about genotype once. So like I'm gonna leave the definition of gene pool on here, and I'm gonna erase, actually, I'll just leave this for now. What is a genotype? What is a genotype?
Someone's trying to jump those in court.
Say it one more time.
Someone's trying to.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So genotype. So what's a genotype? Give me someone new. Someone new. What is a genotype? You guys had time to look them up. Come on, help me out. Genotype. Give me someone new. Genotype. Go ahead. Yes, but we can say it's even. We can say it in a more simple way. Can you say it in a way that's a little more easy to understand? You're absolutely correct. Like you said everything correct. Like your definition is absolutely correct. But like there's an easier way to say it though. Go ahead, Harry.
The genes that makes an organism.
Yeah, so like all, like I'm going to say it a slightly different way. All the genes an organism has. Okay. Here's the big difference. So when we talk about a gene pool, it's all the genes within a population or species, within a large number of organisms. Whereas the genotype is with all the, maybe I should also say all the genes within a single organism, or like, all the genes that you have. So like as an example, we'll learn to write this down eventually, but like, let's say that like capital B stands for brown hair, all right? And lowercase b stands for blonde hair. Now I have brown hair. I could have a gene for blonde hair, but I don't know. Like I can't see my blonde hair. Like I can only see my brown hair. So this would be my genotype, all right? I might have an allele for brown hair, and I might have an allele for blonde hair. But all I can see, I don't know. That would be my genotype. What's up?
Oh, no, just, I was going to say something to the next one on the list.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go into the phenotype. What's the phenotype? Go ahead.
The phenotype is just your brown hair because it's what can be physically observed.
Yeah, so like the phenotype is that part of your genotype that you can observe. So it's your observable genes. And did I say it in a slightly different way? Yeah. It's the observable characteristics. So it's not necessarily just the stuff that you can see with your eyes, okay? It's the stuff that you could like measure or that gives you an advantage over other organisms. Or if it's not an advantage, it could be a disadvantage, okay? In this case, as like our example goes, brown allele and blonde allele would be my genotype. My phenotype would just be the brown allele. We usually don't just say like, here's how we would use this in an adjective sense. I have phenotypic brown hair. That is, you can see my brown hair. Okay. Usually the phenotype, things that you can see, observe, or measure. Things you can see, observe, or measure. So just to make the distinction, gene pool, all the genes, all the alleles of the same gene within a population or a species. What's the difference between a population and a species? I didn't ask that yet, but what is the difference? What do you think? All right, you get the one more.
So a population is like, it's comprised of a group of organisms, but it might not necessarily be every organism within that species. So like, for example, we here are like a population or a group of people, but we are not the entire human species.
Exactly. So like, let me kind of say it in a slightly different way. So going with what Iona said. Iana, sorry. This is our classroom population. You can also talk about the school's population, all of the students and teachers within the school. All right, but in terms of a species, like it sounds awkward to say it this way, but like imagine all of the schools in all of the countries around all of the world. That would be like the species of schools, right? Basically all of the people within a school. Okay, so like this, think of species as all. So like, let's do, you guys like Venn diagrams? So like, yeah, who does, right? So like, here's your population. So you can have, the whole thing is like, would be your species, right? Like the way I'm drawing it. And then you'd have like a population. You can have other populations, usually geographically separated, at least in the biological sense, but not necessarily. How are we doing on time? Oh, what time does this class end?
In 4 minutes.
Okay, I need to manage this time better. I apologize. Okay. All right, so I just want to go over one thing for homework. Wow, 45 minutes goes faster than Sorry, I'm like waving to see if this is coming on here.
It's not.
Well, no, sometimes it takes the bulb a minute to come on. All right, so in the evolution folder, you'll see like there's a video to watch. It's 7 minutes, 45 seconds, and then there's 4 questions. Those 4 questions, and they talk about this in the video. So like all of these questions can be answered from the video. I don't know why that's not coming on. Very good. Okay, there we go. I guess you just have to push the button super hard. So what three characteristics for an organism to be considered, or should say, I'll fix that. What are the three characteristics for an organism to be considered a species? They talk about that in the video. What is biological fitness? They talk about that in the video. You don't need to go and Google these elsewhere. They're all in the video. What does it mean for a trait to be selected for? And like, selected for is like the word that, like, it's a two-word phrase. Like, that's what you're looking for. And then what does it mean for a trait to be selected against? Okay, they talk about this in the video. And are all gene mutations beneficial, negative, and or positive? So I'm looking for an explanation. Don't just say yes. Don't just say no, okay? Looking for an explanation. It's a brief explanation, like a couple sentences, should be able to do it. All right, so it's due on Thursday. I don't know exactly how Google is gonna submit this, but like, if you have trouble, like if for some reason, like the link doesn't allow you to submit it, just like have it on a Google Doc that you can share with me, okay? Does that make sense? All right, cool. All right, so if you don't have any questions, you're free to go. If you have questions, come and see me. Like, I'll be right here, like closing this stuff down. Yeah, see you guys later.